we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Feet in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then taste it.
The summer is heating up day after day. And my oh my, do I look fucking gorgeous today, don't I? Look at that, the fresh new haircut. I no longer have a fucking shrub on my head. And now that I got a nice new do, I think it's about time that we get down to business. You already know what time it is. It's Saturday. Oh, and you know what that means. We are live, and ladies and gentlemen, I am the one and only DJ Storms, and I would like to welcome each and every single one of you back here to the greatest fucking show on earth, as we are streaming live on 4 different platforms across 4 different accounts. And once again, we got a shit ton of material to go over. As of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy, and the operator of the Best Damn X, formerly known as Twitter handle, known to mankind. And this is the official Lightning Flash update for June 8th, 2024, which, of course, is my flagship show and the only true professional wrestling analytical show that you need. The only show where you're going to get cold, hard fucking facts. I'm not a guy that shares any opinions. I only tell you the truth. And we got plenty of shit to go over, including multiple contracts from multiple individuals across multiple different promotions are expiring. We're going to talk about who, we're going to talk about when, and we're going to talk about where these individuals could possibly end up if their contracts do expire and they decide to leave their current promotions that they're in right now. In addition to that, WWE is planning on breaking up a tag team that is a currently reigning tag team champions on SmackDown right now. I'm pretty sure you can guess based on the hints that I just dropped right there. WWE is acting all fucking sleazy and petty again. WWE is feeding the media false information regarding AEW ratings for Collision, and CM Punk posted an Instagram story of him performing an intense tricep workout coming off of surgery that he got about 5 months ago. Could we potentially be looking at CM Punk costing Drew McIntyre the World Heavyweight Championship? Did CM Punk spoil his return to in-ring action? We're going to talk about that as well. In the meantime, before we get into what we're going to get into, please make sure that you are all following me on social media at HistoryMakerDJS. One more time, at HistoryMakerDJS, both on X and Instagram. For collaborations and business inquiries, please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Please make sure you add me on my personal Facebook, like the official DJ Storms business page on Facebook, and I made you send you a very special invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. Like I said, all those links are in the description of this very stream, whether you're watching on Facebook, Rumble, or YouTube. Speaking of Rumble, we are indeed live on Rumble, so please, if you haven't already done so, go check me out over on Rumble because we are looking to build a nice solid following over on Rumble. It's a new world that we're trying to take over on Rumble, and we're looking to really gain a lot of traction over on the Rumble side of things. I don't think any professional wrestling podcaster has a presence on Rumble like I got a presence on Rumble, so please go check me out on Rumble if you haven't already done so. Be sure to hit the like button no matter where you're watching it from, whether you're watching it on X, whether you're watching it on YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. Share it out on all platforms, social media. Get as many people in here as possible. It is very vital that you do so everyone gets a dosage of DJ Shizzle Dizzle, because it is a known fact that I make people's lives better. I didn't make the rules. Yes, I did. In addition to that, please make sure that you get your super chats in, you get your super stickers in, you get your super thanks in, and you become a member of the channel. You will have access to custom emojis, which I know the Final Hoss is using right now. The Final Hoss just threw down the current DJ Storms logo. Appreciate you, Final Hoss, for being a member of the channel. So please, if you haven't already done so, become a member of the channel and send in the super chats, super stickers, and super thanks. I've been doing this shit for almost 7 years. In July will be my 7-year anniversary as DJ Storm. So if you want to show me some love, you want to show me some appreciation, I appreciate the super chats, super stickers, and super thanks. In addition to that, please make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube and hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace, because that way you are going to know whenever I pop up on YouTube, because whenever I pop up on YouTube, oh, baby, it is the best motherfucking time to be on YouTube, because it's the only time that you are going to get to see this glorious sideburn chin strap combination and this beautiful mustache right here. And, of course, get your DJ Storms merch. I know James Punaseca has every single piece of DJ Storms merch. He's got wristbands, he's got a t-shirt, and he has the greatest piece of merch that anyone will ever own, the official DJ Storm Switchblade comb. And if you get this comb, just like me, you will be able to say that you are so good. You'll be able to say you're scrumptious, you're tasty, you're the most delicious snack walking the planet today. And just like everyone wants a piece of the Stormsmeister, everyone is going to want a piece of you. Now then, why don't we skip all the pageantries and let's skip the self-brand promotion, the advertisements. We are going to move on now to the news, rumors, and reports. We have a lot of interesting ones as the summer continues to heat up with a lot of intriguing professional wrestling news. Let's start off with Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. They are currently 2 out of the 4 members of Legado del Fantasma, along with Santos Escobar and Elektra Lopez on SmackDown. Apparently, their contracts are up too. According to Fightful Select, both Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo's contracts with WWE are indeed set to expire on August 1st. Offers have been made, and both sides are negotiating as we speak, but nothing has been confirmed. Now, what is going on with Humberto and Angel Garza? Now, Legado del Fantasma, they're a great fucking faction. They really are. They're an awesome faction, but what are they doing? What are they doing on SmackDown? Santos Escobar and Legado del Fantasma actually had a lot of momentum coming into the Rey Mysterio feud. When Santos broke away from the LWO, we had a really nice, solid undercard storyline going into WrestleMania that should have resulted in Santos versus Rey, but instead we got a TV show tag team match between Andrade Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, and Santos Escobar, and that was placed right in the middle of WrestleMania night number 1. It didn't result in anything of substance. Matter of fact, I'm sure a lot of you forgot about that match. If I didn't remind you, you probably would have forgot the match even existed until someone brought it up at some point on social media. And you were scrolling through social media and you're like, oh shit, that match took place at WrestleMania. It was forgettable as fuck. Santos Escobar and Legado del Fantasma, they deserve a lot more. They deserve a lot more than what they've been given. And it honestly pisses me off a little bit that we have a faction like Legado del Fantasma and a great tag team in Humberto and Angel Garza, and WWE is not building a competitive tag team division. They got Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa DIY in a feud with the tag team champions Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, and they're having them feud in singles matches where Ciampa's getting a victory over Austin Theory one week, and then Grayson Waller gets a victory over Johnny Gargano this week. What happened to tag team wrestling? Why is it that you're giving more focus to the women's tag team titles, and no one gives a fuck about the women's tag team titles, but you're giving more of a focus to those titles than you are both sets of men's tag team championships? But WWE's hot, they say. Financially hot, yes. Creatively hot, no. Honest to God, I don't know where Humberto and Angel would fall. Now, if Tony Khan wants to really get the tag team division back on track, if they want to push forth tag team wrestling, he hasn't really been doing that. See, at the beginning of the year, the tag team division was a focus. From January to April, we had some great tag team matches. But after the FTR Young Bucks match at Dynasty, it's almost like Tony Khan has completely disregarded tag team wrestling again. Another thing with Tony Khan is the rankings. Why aren't the rankings being enforced? The biggest part that made AEW special was the rankings and the way that they enforced them in the first 3 years of the company. And then in 2022, they seemingly got rid of them and everything became unstructured. Everything's been a mumble-jumbled mess. We need to get the tag team division back on track. Now, if Tony Khan wants to, when their contracts expire, if they bring in Angel and Humberto and they put them in the tag team division and they're putting on matches with Gates of Agony and Private Party and the Acclaimed and the Bang Bang Gang and whoever else they want to put in there, the Lucha Bros, whoever, if they want to do that, I got no problem with that. But Tony Khan really hasn't shown any signs of rebuilding the tag team division since Dynasty ended. After Dynasty, everything regarding the tag team division has essentially been discarded. And that's not right. Now, what are Angel and Humberto going to do in WWE? I don't know. I don't think Triple H really appreciates them. They should be in a better position than they are in. They should be on TV, at least bi-weekly, putting on bangers in the tag team division like we know they can. They should be building themselves up in the tag team division and making Legado del Fantasma feel more important, but they're not. To be quite honest with you, I don't know what's going to happen with Angel and Humberto. If anything, I think they're probably going to stay with WWE. I think they're probably going to convince them to stay with WWE unless they really want to leave. Unless they really want to leave and they want to do some other shit outside of WWE. It all depends. Because right now, Legado del Fantasma is essentially a dead faction. They've lost all their momentum coming out of WrestleMania. No one cares about Legado del Fantasma. Nobody. TNA recently just started a new television protocol where they will be streaming not just on Access TV, but they will also have their TNA Impact tapings streaming on the TNA Plus app every single week. Now, I think that that's a very good strategy, and it will make the TNA Plus app a little bit more intriguing, but at the same point in time, they are not very good when it comes to creative writing. TNA is at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to promotions. No one gives a shit about TNA. There's a recent report that came out that TNA was recently disappointed in the lack of a ratings increase that they failed to get from the Jordan Grace appearance on NXT. I mean, I don't want to say I told you so, but I mean, holy shit, 2 days ago, I literally said on the rundown for NXT Battleground that the TNA NXT partnership was going to make no difference. No difference made. It's going to get old. It's going to get old. People are going to grow numb to it. It will not do any brand any difference. And ultimately, it's going to end extremely anticlimactic, similar to how the AEW and Impact partnership ended. No one gives a fuck about Impact, and no one gives a fuck about NXT no matter who they bring in. NXT may very well be beyond repair. No fucking joke. NXT may very well be beyond repair. But TNA, they're doing their shows on the TNA Plus app. For the 30 people that watch TNA, there you go. Dave Meltzer, he's a hit or miss. Dave Meltzer's a hit or miss when it comes to his reports, but based on what we've been seeing on TV, I would not doubt that this report is true. Dave Meltzer is reporting that WWE is planning on breaking up Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, who, by the way, are currently the WWE Tag Team Champions. They're planning on breaking up Theory and Waller, and Theory is going to be positioned as the babyface. I got a lot of problems with this shit. I do. I have a lot of problems with this shit. First of all, why are you planning on breaking up Theory and Waller when they haven't even gotten started with their tag team title reign yet? How are you planning on breaking up these two when you paired them together late last year? They haven't even been together for a year yet. They just won the tag team titles at WrestleMania, and they haven't done enough with them. You're going to have DIY win the titles this early, when realistically, that should be a match that is saved for SummerSlam or Bash in Berlin? Why are you so gung-ho on breaking these two up? And then secondly, Austin Theory is being positioned as a babyface. Austin Theory is being positioned as a babyface. I'm not sure if you realize this, but nobody wants to cheer Austin Theory. Austin Theory does not come off as a babyface. Austin Theory does not present himself as a babyface. He doesn't. You take a look at Austin Theory, he looks like a fucking douchebag. He's a former bodybuilder. He looks like the type of guy that will make fun of people that don't have a six-pack of abs. He looks like the guy that people want to see get punched in the face repeatedly. How the fuck does Austin Theory resonate as a babyface? How? WWE planning on breaking up Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Why? They just won the tag team titles at WrestleMania. They barely got started. All they've had to go based on in this title reign was that one match in France on SmackDown with the Street Profits. Now you're giving them DIY way too early when it should be saved for SummerSlam. What is up with these short title reigns? Why? And on top of that, why doesn't WWE respect tag team wrestling? I thought this was a new era. I thought this was the Triple H era. And then to top it all off, Austin Theory is rumored to be positioned as the babyface. How the fuck does anyone look at Austin Theory and think babyface? The man looks like he was a bully in high school. He has the most punchable face out of anyone on that roster. If WWE is truthfully planning on breaking up Theory and Waller, they are making a massive, and I mean a massive mistake. Shane Haste. For those of you that watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, Shane Haste, formerly known as Slapjack in WWE. Yes, you've heard me correct. Fightful has learned that his contract is expiring soon. I'm not sure where he's going to go, but if you're asking me, I mean, he's got a good thing going on in New Japan with Mikey Nichols. He's got a good thing going on in New Japan with Mikey Nichols. I think that he's probably going to stay in New Japan. I don't think Shane Haste is going to go anywhere. The only way that Shane Haste is going elsewhere is if he goes with Mikey Nichols, or as they called him in NXT, Nick Miller, because they were a tag team in NXT called TM61. They were a great tag team, actually. I'm surprised that Triple H did not give them a bit more to do in NXT when they were in NXT. Actually, a little disappointed in their run in NXT. But even then, does AEW and WWE give off vibes right now that they are respecting tag team wrestling? The answer is no. They're not respecting tag team wrestling like they really should. If anything, you could say that WWE and AEW's portrayal of current tag team wrestling is an embarrassment. AEW had the right idea at the start of the year, like I said, but they seemingly abandoned that after Dynasty. That's disappointing. Shane Haste, I can't see going anywhere. If you think that Shane Haste is going to go anywhere, let me know in the comments, but I personally think that he's going to stay right where he is in New Japan. WWE. Now, this should not come as a surprise to anyone. So much so, there are actual individuals that are trying to deny this shit. And they really think, they are so fucking delusional that they don't think that WWE cares about AEW. Of course they do. Of course they fucking do. WWE has cared about AEW for the last 5 years. It's not about AEW toppling WWE. WWE cares for one reason and one reason only. The mentality backstage in WWE is no one else can have a TV deal. No one else can run these big arenas. No one else can have all of these partnerships. No one else can do partnerships with the NBA or partnerships with the MLB. No one else should be doing this shit. Their mentality is, we should be the only wrestling program on nationwide TV and fuck everyone else. Whether it's Nick Khan, whether it's Triple H, whether it's Vince McMahon, doesn't fucking matter. AEW was never going to overtake WWE. AEW was never going to be on the same level as WWE from a financial standpoint. But the fact that AEW exists, and the fact that AEW has a television deal, and they're going to get a renewal on their TV deal, whether you want to admit it or not. They're going to get a renewal on their TV deal. The fact that they exist and the fact that they are going to get a renewal, that bothers WWE to their core, because if they are not the only game in town, they get petty. They want to monopolize the industry. I'm still not thoroughly convinced that the TNA partnership with NXT is genuine. I'm still not convinced. But Dave Meltzer, at the end of the day, he's a hit or miss. But if you're going to try and tell me that this report is bullshit, then clearly you don't know jack about pro wrestling. Professional wrestling is a very sleazy business, and they've been doing this for years, whether it be with UFC, whether it be with WCW, ECW, it doesn't matter. Wrestling Observer Radio saw Dave Meltzer shed light on the fake Fast National report on Collision from this past Saturday. Last Saturday, we had that fucking douchebag, that Alfred Cheesehead Kanua, whatever the fuck you want to call him, the ever retarded Alfred Kanua, stated that the ratings for Collision, the Fast Nationals, were 122,000, when in reality, they were triple that amount. They were 378,000 for the Collision show on Saturday. Meltzer stated that WWE deliberately leaks information and feeds false narratives to the media outlets to manipulate the general public on the perception of AEW. If you're going to tell me that that is false, clear as day, you should not be discussing professional wrestling. At the end of the day, WWE TV has gotten a lot better. And I've stated that. SmackDown's been very consistent. Raw, while it's not great, Raw is still a lot more tolerable than what it was under Vince McMahon. But as far as the mentality backstage goes, WWE is a petty fucking business. They may very well be the most petty business on the fucking planet. And I would not put it past anyone in WWE to be leaking this information. They have done this shit in the past for WCW. They have done this shit in the past regarding UFC. Listen to what Dana White said. Dana White has had issues with Vince McMahon. Dana White shed some light on WWE being petty towards the UFC, leaking shit here and there. WWE sees everything as competition. WWE is not, they're not in tune with the fact that there's plenty of room for everyone. There's plenty of room in the entertainment, in the sports entertainment, in the pro wrestling, whatever the fuck you want to call it. There's plenty of room in this industry for both of these companies to succeed. And this just further adds to the petty bullshit war between WWE and AEW. If anything, WWE is the number one fuel source to this tribalism. You got Alfred Kanua, he's in the back pocket of WWE. Eric Bischoff's in the back pocket of WWE. Jim Cornette, absolutely in the back pocket of WWE. Disco Inferno, Conan, they're all WWE cocksuckers. Whether you want to admit it or not, they are. Is AEW perfect? No. Matter of fact, I got some criticisms that I'm going to shed light on with AEW this week. I'm going to point out the lack of consistency with AEW TV on the show this week. However, those fuckers act like they can do nothing right. Jim Cornette and Alfred and fucking Eric Bischoff, all these fucking morons, these fucking retards, they act like AEW can do nothing right. They're not fair. They're not objective with their audience. They're not honest with themselves. They take fucking paychecks and they slander AEW because that is what WWE is all about. It is all about media manipulation. It is no better than the fucking Democrats that try and manipulate you that Donald Trump is some sort of evil son of a bitch. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's probably the best president that we've had since Reagan. And that's a fact, whether you want to admit it or not. You don't like it? Go suck my dick. WWE manipulates the media. They manipulate their fan base. They've been doing it for years. WWE has enclosed a good portion of the wrestling fan base in a little fucking bubble to think that it's the WWE way or no way. That's a fucking problem. And it doesn't help that now they're leaking these fast nationals to Alfred Kanua, the fucking cheesehead. Where the fuck did he get these fast nationals from? He got it from WWE. Why? Because WWE is all about controlling the media. They don't give a fuck about pro wrestling. Even Triple H, even under Triple H, WWE, and the mentality backstage, the mentality doesn't change. And you know something? That's why Will Ospreay didn't sign with WWE. That's why Kazuchika Okada didn't sign with WWE. You can come up with all the fucking bullshit regarding, oh no, they signed with AEW because of money. No, they didn't. They signed with AEW because AEW actually cares about the wrestling business. AEW wants to collaborate with other wrestling promotions. AEW actually goes out of their way to give these individuals a platform where they can shine. They don't try and manipulate their fan base. They don't try and control the media. Do they got problems? Yes, they do. And again, we will shed light on them. But at the end of the day, WWE, they're the most petty company on the planet. And if you don't think that WWE is leaking these fast national accounts to the media, you are out of your fucking mind. The WWE, whether you want to admit it or not, I will state it again and again, the WWE is the most petty company on the planet. They've been doing this shit for years, whether it be slandering WCW, ECW, hell, even UFC. Dana White shed some light on that. The WWE doesn't care about the wrestling business. All they want to do is manipulate. All they want to do is control the narrative. It's no better than the fucking Democrats that manipulate the media into thinking that Trump is some sort of evil son of a bitch, when in reality, the Democrats are the problem with America. At the end of the day, WWE, they're leaking these Fast National accounts to Alfred Kanua, the fucking retarded-ass cheesehead. They're feeding false narratives to the media to alter the general public's perception on AEW because they do not want anyone else to succeed in pro wrestling. Moving on here to AEW. Fightful. They reported that AEW has remained open to utilizing Lio Rush in the future after his most recent return. I very much appreciate Lio Rush. I think Lio Rush is great at what he does. Not really sure where he's going to go because, I mean, you take a look at how many people are ahead of him in AEW. I mean, it's quite obvious that Lio Rush, he's going to fall in that category of a guy that's going to be used to help others get over. He's going to put on great matches, but he's not going to break through any glass ceilings. But the match that he had with Strong last Saturday on Collision, that was fucking great. That was fucking great. And I hope that we get something else with Lio Rush going on into the future. Because Lio Rush, he's very versatile at what he does. Asuka, she took to X and she uploaded a photo of herself in the hospital on Wednesday. She indeed confirmed that she is out with a knee injury, as the photo that she posted was her knee in a brace and bandages. So Asuka is indeed out with an injury. We wish Asuka the best in her recovery from injury. Asuka, she is a very valuable asset to the women's division, and it's a damn shame that she had to get injured at this time. It's a damn shame because she is definitely needed. She's definitely needed, considering that we got a whole new plethora of women who came up from NXT. A whole new plethora of women who are going to want to showcase to everyone what they can do and how good they are when that bell rings. And Asuka, she would probably want to be in the middle of that, facing all of these new women. She's going to have to wait. I'm not sure how long she's going to be out, but knee injuries, they take a considerable amount of time to heal. I don't think we're going to see Asuka until the end of the year. It's a shame. It's a damn shame. Speaking of someone who is injured, Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley, she has been out since April. She was taken out via an accident backstage during a backstage brawl with Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan, more likely than not, was going to be the woman to take on Rhea Ripley at some point in the summer. She was probably going to take on Rhea Ripley either at Backlash or at King and Queen of the Ring. That did not happen. Rhea Ripley had to vacate the WWE Women's World Championship because of a shoulder injury. According to Wrestling Observer Radio, Rhea Ripley is choosing to opt out of surgery, and she is instead rehabbing her shoulder. Unfortunately, she is not expected to be back in time for SummerSlam. Now that is going to be a problem. That's going to be a major problem. Because Rhea Ripley being involved at SummerSlam, that was a major necessity. Rhea Ripley, more likely than not, was going to come back. If the injury wasn't as serious as I was thinking, Rhea Ripley coming back in July would have been the ideal scenario, and we were going to get Rhea Ripley versus a Liv Morgan, or potentially a triple threat match between Liv Morgan, Becky Lynch, and Rhea Ripley, but Becky's contract expired, so in reality, it was probably going to be Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley anyway. That was the match at SummerSlam, at least in my eyes. Turns out that might not happen, and that's a fucking problem. Rhea Ripley, according to Wrestling Observer Radio, she's rehabbing her shoulder and she will not be back in time for SummerSlam. She's opting out of surgery. This is a major issue for multiple reasons. Number one, the women's division right now, they lost Rhea to an injury. Becky is taking a hiatus. They just lost Asuka. I don't know about you guys, but the Monday Night Raw women's division is severely lacking in star power. And then in addition to that, you're going to have this storyline with Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio drag out. You're going to do this seduction storyline for God knows how fucking long. And what, you're going to wait until August for Rhea Ripley to come back? Possibly after August? This injury with Rhea Ripley really fucked up a lot of plans, because if Rhea's not back in time for SummerSlam, we got a major fucking problem. Penta El Cero Miedo. Penta El Cero Miedo. Everyone loves Penta. Penta is fantastic at what he does. According to a report from Lucha Libre Online, Penta El Cero Miedo. I feel like I always need to do that whenever I say Cero Miedo. Penta El Cero Miedo, his contract is coming up in August and September. Sometime between that timeline, between August and September of this year, his contract with AEW is coming up. There have been some people that believe that Penta is trying to get the rights to his name so that way he could explore his options outside of AEW when his contract is up. Now, I do not know what is going through Penta's mind. I do not know what is going through Penta's mind. I do not know what his mentality is. And whatever he wants to do, that's up to him. Whatever he wants to do is up to him. And whatever he wants to do, I'm going to support him. Whatever he wants to do, I'll support him. And I will be sure to watch him as a fan. And I'm going to enjoy what he's doing. But I want you guys to think about this for a minute. I'm going based off of what I'm seeing. I'm going based off of the facts that ooze off the TV screen. I'm going based off of the truth that presents itself every single Monday and Friday when it comes to Lucha Libre and Mexican professional wrestlers, okay? Do you honestly have faith in Triple H that he would handle Penta correctly? Now, I'm not saying that Tony Khan is treating Penta like a fucking Cody Rhodes. I'm not saying that Tony Khan, he's booking Penta as if he's Roman Reigns. No, I'm not saying that, but I want you guys to think about this. What would be the main difference that would make Penta better in WWE than in AEW? And do not give me the fucking bullshit of, well, he'll be performing in front of the full arena, or, oh, he'll be in front of more people. That shit is fucking irrelevant. I'm not talking about how many people he'll be performing in front of. I'm not talking about how many people are watching the show. The ratings and the ticket sales are fucking insignificant. I am talking about the objective quality. I am talking about the creative writing aspect. Whether you want to admit it or not, Triple H, he don't know what the fuck he's doing with Latino professional wrestlers. Because if you take a look at the main roster, every single Mexican professional wrestler and or luchador is either in the LWO, Legado del Fantasma, or they're feuding with one of those two factions. Dragon Lee, Santos Escobar, Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, Carlito, Andrade. All these individuals are either involved with Legado del Fantasma or the LWO in some way, shape, or form. I mean, holy shit, Dragon Lee has been with the company for a year and a half now, right? Dragon Lee has been with the company for a year and a half. And what the fuck has he done? Nothing. He has done absolutely nothing. His NXT run was underwhelming as fuck. They gave him the North American Championship, and what did he do with it? He held it for all but 1 month before losing it to Oba Femi. And Obafemi's been NXT North American champion for the last 6 months now. His NXT North American title reign was as irrelevant as they come. I'm pretty sure many of you even forgot that Dragon Lee was even a North American champion until I just told you. Santos Escobar, another one. All the momentum in the world during the Rey Mysterio feud. We get the match at WrestleMania. He loses. All of his momentum is gone. He was supposed to have a one-on-one match with Rey Mysterio. They made it a tag team match. Andrade. What the fuck have they done with Andrade? Andrade has been back in the WWE for nearly 6 months. And not once have we gotten a true glimpse of what Andrade is capable of. This man should be the fucking workhorse of SmackDown. Andrade should be the motherfucking workhorse of SmackDown. And what the fuck is he doing? He wasn't even on the show last night. He wasn't even on the fucking show. Andrade should be the workhorse of SmackDown. But yet, we have not gotten anything that has resembled not even 1 single ounce of what he did in AEW. This man was coming out of the Continental Classic. This man came out of a very good match with Miro. I mean, holy shit. The match with Miro at World's End on December 30th. That match with Andrade and Miro, that match has been better than everything that Andrade has done since he came back to WWE. Nothing that Andrade has done since he came back to WWE has even resembled 1 single ounce of what he did in that match with Miro. Hell, he put on an 18-minute fucking banger with Bryan Danielson on a random-ass episode of Collision, and that shit was better than anything that he did on WWE TV since he came back in January. They just fucking gave him the Speed Championship. They took the title off of Ricochet, and they fucking gave the Speed Championship to Andrade. He had a dark match with Carl Anderson after SmackDown that lasted 45 seconds. They gave him the new incarnation of the fucking 24/7 championship. They got him holding a social media championship when in reality, this guy should be positioned to be either an Intercontinental or a United States champion. They should be building this guy up to take the U.S. title off of LA Knight when LA Knight beats Logan Paul. Or this guy should be built up to be a potential opponent for Cody Rhodes. What the fuck are they doing with them? All of these guys, all these Mexican professional wrestlers, all these Lucha Libre stars, what do you think's going to happen with Penta? There's a possibility he could get a decent run in NXT. He could get a decent run in NXT, no problem. But after NXT, I mean, what the fuck do you think's going to happen? You think that Penta is above putting in the LWO and Legado del Fantasma? At least in AEW, Penta is free to do what he does best. At least in AEW, Penta is actually being showcased in matches, and he doesn't have any handcuffs on him, and he can go out there and do what he does best, wrestle. The thing with AEW isn't the fact that Penta isn't great. This is a problem that a lot of professional wrestling promotions have. Penta has settled into a role. Penta is not going to achieve championship success unless it's with his brother Rey Fenix or with Death Triangle. That's just how it goes. Whether you want to admit it or not, that's just how it goes. He was tag team champion. He was trios world champion. But he's not going to be a singles champion. He's better as a singles wrestler than he is a tag team wrestler. But Penta is not going to be a singles champion in AEW. But if he goes to WWE, listen, there's potential that he could be a singles champion, but it's not as much potential as you may think. And then in addition to that, we're not even going to see 1/10 of what Penta could really do. You think WWE is going to allow Penta to do what he's doing on AEW TV right now? No. When it comes down to it all, when WWE brings over an individual from AEW to WWE, they always water them down in some way, shape, or form. Cody Rhodes is the only individual so far that has come over from AEW to WWE that has not been worn down from an in-ring perspective, Cody's fucking killing it. But they have watered him down from a promo perspective. But everyone else that has come over, Lexis King, Dragon Lee, Jade Cargill, she wasn't really all that good in AEW to begin with. Same will happen to Penta. Whoever comes over from AEW will ultimately be watered down. Why? Because WWE does not put professional wrestling first. Pro wrestling should always be first when it comes to the sport. No, they want to make it as if it's a fucking soap opera. They want to preach storytelling this, storytelling that. So much so that their entire fan base is essentially a group of fucking story whores. That's the fucking problem. Penta, in theory, going to WWE sounds exciting. It does. And I want the best for Penta. I would love to see some matches in WWE with Penta. I'd love to see a Penta versus a Cody. I'd love to see a Penta versus an AJ Styles. I'd love to see a Penta versus a Drew McIntyre. A Penta versus a Damian Priest. A Penta versus whomever. Finn Balor, Jey Uso, Gunther. The list goes on and on. But do you honestly believe that WWE would treat Penta like we know he should be treated? Unfortunately, he has settled into a role of a guy that's going to put on great matches in AEW, and he is going to ultimately lose. He's only going to succeed when he's in a faction. That's just the role that Penta has settled into. And whether you want to admit it or not, he's not really going to achieve that much more success in WWE based on what's going on in WWE right now. You can take a look at based on the history of WWE and what they've been doing with Mexican pro wrestlers and Lucha Libre stars right now, there is no hope for Penta. It's either LWO or Legado del Fantasma, or you feud with one of those two. Those are just the facts, whether you want to believe it or not. Penta going to WWE sounds very exciting in theory, but do you honestly believe that Triple H would treat Penta like we know he should be treated? At least now on AEW TV, he doesn't have any handcuffs on him, and he's free to go out there and wrestle and put on bangers on a weekly basis. If Penta goes to WWE, we're not going to get that. How many Mexican or Lucha Libre pro wrestlers are on the main roster right now that should be in better positions than they're in? Santos Escobar, Dragon Lee. Andrade just won the fucking Speed Championship. They gave him a fucking social media title. It's either LWO, Legado del Fantasma, or you feud with one of those two factions. I want the best for Penta, and I will support Penta no matter where he goes. But Penta going to WWE, it does not sound all that good when you think about all the facts that I just laid out for you. CM Punk. CM Punk recently uploaded a video on his Instagram story of him training in the gym. CM Punk was seen performing an incredibly intense tricep workout that showed full mobility of his triceps. He looks to be completely recovered from his injury. I don't know about you guys, but it seems as though CM Punk has been cleared for in-ring action. Even though he's not telling anyone, it certainly seems like Punk is ready to fucking go. Now, why do I say this? I have been talking about this for a couple weeks now. And if you guys have been listening, you know I have been talking about Clash at the Castle with Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. That match is confirmed. That match is confirmed for Clash at the Castle for the World Heavyweight title. A lot of people are predicting Drew McIntyre to win the championship. I love what Drew McIntyre has been doing, and I want to see Drew McIntyre succeed just as much as the next guy. But, when it comes down to it all, is Drew McIntyre really worth giving the world title to now, only to have him lose it to Gunther? because Gunther's challenging for the World Championship at SummerSlam. That's already a given. That's a guarantee he won King of the Ring. So if Gunther's challenging for the World Championship at SummerSlam, then realistically speaking, he's got to win. You're not going to have Gunther challenge for the World Championship at SummerSlam and lose, right? That would be fucking stupid. Then what's the point of him winning King of the Ring? What's the point of him winning King of the Ring if you have a guy like Gunther and you're not going to give him the world title? You do not put Gunther in a world title match and have him lose. You don't. That's just something that is a definite no. Gunther's going to win. If Drew wins the championship at Clash at the Castle, he's barely holding it 2 months. Would I appreciate Drew McIntyre as world champion? Of course. But how much would he really have to work with as world champion? If you've been paying attention, WWE essentially laid out the next couple of world title matches for Damian Priest. It's Drew McIntyre, Clash at the Castle. Then Braun Strowman, he's been fighting with the Judgment Day as of lately. What do you think's going to happen with Braun? He's going to challenge Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight title. That's probably going to be at Money in the Bank. Priest is going to beat Braun Strowman. And then we're going to move on to SummerSlam, and Priest is going to drop the championship to Gunther. That's the way it should go. But then how do you have Drew McIntyre lose in Scotland? Well, if you're asking me, all I would do is pull a repeat. I would pull a repeat of what we got at Money in the Bank 2011. Money in the Bank 2011, we saw CM Punk and John Cena for the WWE Championship. CM Punk's hometown. John Cena was the babyface. CM Punk was the heel. John Cena was ripped a new asshole at that show in the Allstate Arena. What happens now? Well, I mean, Drew McIntyre, he's the hometown hero. Drew McIntyre's the hometown hero coming on in, and he's going to fight for the World Championship, right? It only makes sense for CM Punk to cost Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is doing everything that he can to ignore CM Punk right now. Drew McIntyre, even though he's talking about CM Punk, Drew McIntyre is fully fledged and focused on what's going on at Clash at the Castle because he wants the World Championship. He wants the championship that Damian Priest robbed him of at WrestleMania. So what happens? It's quite simple. CM Punk swoops on in when Drew McIntyre is just about to win the championship. CM Punk hits the GTS on Drew McIntyre, and CM Punk fucks over Drew McIntyre for a third straight time. Third straight time, and Drew McIntyre and Punk is a match set for SummerSlam. And if WWE is going to play their cards right, you take a look at the 3 big matches for SummerSlam. We're going to get Priest and Gunther, Randy Orton and Cody. Those are your top 2 world title matches. And then in the undercard, you're going to get Punk and McIntyre. That's a nice 1, 2, 3 punch for SummerSlam. It only makes sense. More and more I see shit happening. The more and more I see the fact that they confirmed what's going down in Madison Square Garden. Damian Priest is defending the world title against Jey Uso in July after Clash at the Castle. And then CM Punk comes out with the intense tricep workout. CM Punk looks great. CM Punk looks like he's cleared for in-ring action. It just makes me feel more and more and more that CM Punk is going to fuck over Drew McIntyre, and CM Punk is going to cost him the World Championship, thus resulting in a match at SummerSlam. Those are your news, rumors, and reports. I hope you guys are having a great time so far. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Please make sure you check out all of those links in the description. Please make sure that you hit the like button, share the stream out on all platforms of social media, and in addition to that, get your super chats in, get your super stickers in, get your super thanks in. We got 18 people across 4 different platforms watching right now. Get in your super chats, super thanks, and super stickers. It's incredibly vital that you do so. Get all of this shit in because I've been doing this for almost 7 years, and I think I deserve a little dough to compensate for all the fucking hard work that I've been doing. So send them in. Send them in, people. Let's go into the weekly show reviews. We're going to talk about Raw, Dynamite, SmackDown, and Rampage. And I am going to point out a problem. This is a problem that has been very prominent, especially this week. This week was a prime example, and this goes for both WWE and AEW, because I'm a fair individual. I'm the only truthful and honest individual in the IWC right now. There is a problem with the main shows. There's a problem with the main companies. I'm talking about WWE and AEW, the top two. Both of their problems right now is a lack of consistency. And this week showcased just how big the problem is. You take a look at Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw was a very mixed bag of a show. Was it better than last week? Yeah, it was better than last week. But I don't know what the fuck happened. After the 9:30 time slot, after 9:30 on Monday, it's almost as if the energy was just completely drained from the building. They were doing 2-minute matches. Shit was not flowing by well. Nothing felt important. It was just very, very blah. It ended on a very sour note. It ended on a very sour note to a point where almost no one gave a shit until what we got in the end with Damian Priest chokeslamming Drew McIntyre through a table. Then you got SmackDown. SmackDown, on the other hand, was a very solid show. SmackDown last night was very, very solid. So I'm watching both shows and I'm like, why the fuck is Raw lackluster? But SmackDown, which has actually been very solid for the last couple weeks now, like, what the fuck is going on here? Why the fuck has SmackDown got it right, but Raw doesn't? What's the fucking difference? I understand that some of your major stars are injured on Monday Night Raw. I understand that Punk's injured. I understand that Rollins is injured. But that does not mean that you should be coasting by with Monday Night Raw. Roman Reigns is out on SmackDown, but yet SmackDown is still giving us solid shows. Matter of fact, SmackDown has probably been the most consistent show coming out of the draft. Then you got AEW's side of the fence. Dynamite this week was a very good show. Dynamite was very good. It was probably the best show of the week this week. Dynamite was very good. The matches were great. Crowd was hyped up. The show flowed very well. Show flowed by very, very nicely. Things felt as though they weren't crammed together. It didn't necessarily feel like there was anything on Dynamite that shouldn't have been there. The Chris Jericho shit, listen, it was funny. It was funny, but some people could have done without it. If you could have done without it, I wouldn't really have blamed you. But with AEW's side of the fence, with Dynamite, we got ourselves a very well-flowing show that built towards Forbidden Door. We got matches confirmed for Forbidden Door. We got some really good promos. We got new, fresh matches on Dynamite. And then you go to Rampage, right? You go to Rampage last night, and I'm watching Rampage, and I'm like, 5 fucking matches on Rampage? What the fuck is going on? 5 fucking matches on Rampage. 2 of those matches were enhancement matches. 2 of those matches were enhancement matches, and the rankings aren't even being enforced on AEW TV anymore. So you take a look at that. There's a huge disconnect between Dynamite and Rampage. We get a very good show on Wednesday, and we get a fucking meaningless show on Friday. And then on WWE's side of the fence, like I just said, Raw was as lukewarm as you could possibly get, but SmackDown was solid. There is inconsistencies. There is disconnects between both of the major shows on both of the top 2 companies. Raw should not be lukewarm while SmackDown is solid. We should have both shows solid. Dynamite should not be very good while Rampage is meaningless. Both shows should mean something. There is a lack of consistency with both major companies across the board with their main shows. That is a problem. And that's a problem that's been plaguing professional wrestling for the entirety of the post-WrestleMania season. We need to get that shit back on track, both WWE and AEW. Raging Girl Gamer, how you doing? Greatly appreciate you stopping by. Be sure to share the stream out, get your super chats in, get your super stickers in, get your super thanks in. I always appreciate Raging Girl Gamer. She is a very loyal supporter. Very, very cool individual. Very easy individual to talk to. Always have some good conversations with her. Monday Night Raw. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw, a very mixed bag. Very mixed bag of a show. I don't know what the fuck happened. They started off decent, right? They started off decent, but then it's like they fucking lost themselves. So they replayed the kiss last week between Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. Liv Morgan, she kicked off the show and she relished in taking out Rhea Ripley and winning the women's world title and then putting Becky Lynch into early retirement. She said the cherry on top of the cake, according to her, was kissing Dominic Mysterio. So out came Dominic Mysterio, sling and all. He said, I don't know what kind of game you're playing. Crowd booed. Didn't even allow him to speak. Crowd was chanting, you suck. So Dominic Mysterio then eyed Liv Morgan and he said, when mommy comes back, she's going to kill you. Liv Morgan sighed and in a very seductive and flirty way said, well, maybe, but she's probably going to kill you too. But don't worry, I'll make it all worth it. You came out last week so you could be closer to me, not to help Becky Lynch. I wanted to take everything from Rhea Ripley, and that includes you. So Liv Morgan was then caressing Dominic Mysterio's face before Finn Balor came out. Finn Balor, Senor Cockblock. Finn Balor. So Finn Balor and JD McDonough were trying to back off Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan, then she went underneath the rope, and she was on the apron. Dominic was still backed into the corner. She then caressed Dominic's scalp. She was stroking Dominic's hair, and Dominic gave Liv Morgan a slight smile before the segment ended. Now, first of all, did the segment make sense? Yes, it did. The segment made sense, so in that regard, I am not going to complain. However, I am going to complain about two things. Number one, even though the segment made sense, it is pathetic that Liv Morgan's championship reign is essentially going to be built around seducing Dominic Mysterio rather than what she can do in the ring, bell to bell. That is a problem. And it goes hand in hand with what I've been saying. WWE does everything in their power, and I fucking hate it. WWE does everything in their power to shun away from professional wrestling. They do everything in their power to not push professional wrestling to the forefront when they should. And it goes to show you how weak the women's division is, that you got no other challengers built up to take on Liv Morgan, so much so that you need to resort to a seduction storyline between herself and Dominic Mysterio. It's essentially a fucking soap opera. And then the second major problem with this is the fact that we're just waiting for Rhea to come back. And with the report that I just named, the report that Rhea is rehabbing her shoulder and she is not taking surgery, she's not even expected back in time for SummerSlam. So now we're going to have to deal with this shit for the entirety of the summer. We're going to have to deal with this shit for the entirety of the summer. Again, that is a fucking problem. So even though this shit made sense, and even though Dominic and Liv played their roles beautifully, it's nothing more than a cheap soap opera storyline that's going to drag on way longer than it needs to drag on because Rhea Ripley is not here to get us to that next chapter. The next chapter involves Rhea Ripley. If we do not have Rhea Ripley, then we're stuck in this stationary position with Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. And again, I will state, that is a problem. Ludwig Kaiser. Ladies and gentlemen, I demand all of your gratitude. Ludwig Kaiser. He took on Sheamus, banger after banger and burger after burger. Sheamus, he had a match with Ludwig Kaiser, and this was actually a very solid match here. This was a very solid match, and Ludwig Kaiser, he looked great. Sheamus looked great as well. Sheamus's knee was the story in this match. Sheamus's knee was a major target from the start of the match, and Ludwig Kaiser ended up getting the win. He chopped out Sheamus's knee on the middle rope, and he rolled up Sheamus for the 1-2-3 victory, and Ludwig Kaiser got the biggest win of his career thus far. So good for Ludwig Kaiser, and I'm very, very happy that these two were given a solid amount of time. Dragon Lee, he took on Finn Balor. This was a decent little match. It only went about 7 minutes, and if you're asking me, that's actually disrespectful to Dragon Lee and Finn Balor. These two individuals are worth so much more than 8 minutes. If anything, what happened after the match with Rey Mysterio and Braun Strowman coming out, you could have eliminated that. You could have eliminated that, and you could have focused solely on what Dragon Lee and Finn Balor were doing. You could have taken away the extra 4 minutes that was given to Braun Strowman and Rey Mysterio, and you could have given it to the Finn Balor-Dragon Lee match. Dragon Lee, again, I already ranted on this earlier on in the stream. How the fuck is Dragon Lee not in a bigger position than he is right now? He's been with the WWE for a year and a half, and they have done fucking nothing with him. All he's been doing is collecting a fucking paycheck. When was the last time we had a great Dragon Lee match? I can't remember. Last time I remember we had a great Dragon Lee match was back on SmackDown during the fall when he fought Axiom. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with Dragon Lee. Finn Balor gets the win with a coup de grace. So let me get this straight. Finn Balor can beat Dragon Lee, but you can't have Finn Balor go over Jey Uso in the King of the Ring tournament? Triple H, what the fuck are we doing here, boss? So afterwards, Braun Strowman and Rey Mysterio came out, and the Judgment Day retreated. Like I stated earlier on in the stream, this is all building towards Braun Strowman versus Damian Priest at Money in the Bank, and that will be Damian Priest's last major title defense before we get Damian Priest versus Gunther at SummerSlam, with Gunther taking the World Championship from Priest. Sami Zayn, he came out to address the crowd. This is where shit really started getting good. So Sami Zayn, he came out to address the crowd. Sami talked about Chad Gable being a thorn in his side. He said, "This has gone on long enough, and I am proposing Gable come out right now and face me man to man so we can put an end to this." The Alpha Academy came out instead. It was Maxine Dupree, Akira Tozawa, and Otis. Maxine said that they are out there to redeem themselves. She said that Gable has a message for you, and it was pretty simple. He degraded Tozawa for being a ninja. He then degraded Otis for losing his Money in the Bank briefcase, did Chad Gable. He says this ends, according to the letter, this ends with Sami Zayn giving Gable his Intercontinental Championship match. Sami then accepted the match for Clash at the Castle, but he said, "Listen, I'm done talking to him. I want to talk to you guys. Have you had enough yet? All of you guys are better than what Chad Gable is giving you. Gable doesn't get to decide what you guys are worth. You guys need to set yourselves free," said Sami Zayn. Gable then came out and attacked Sami. Otis was pacing back and forth. He didn't know what to do. We had a German suplex on Sami. Otis couldn't bring himself to punch Sami. Gable then smacked him. Gable then smacked Otis. Sammy was still recovering. Tozawa held Gable back. Gable then got in Tozawa's face. Maxine held Gable back. Gable then told Maxine to beg for his forgiveness. And then he told Maxine and Tozawa to leave. Otis then got in Chad Gable's face and the crowd was fucking going nuts. Otis looked like he was getting ready to rip Chad Gable into two. All of a sudden, Sami Zayn sent himself into Otis because Chad Gable sidestepped. Chad Gable sent Sami Zayn into Otis, which then knocked Maxine and Tozawa off the apron. And then Chad Gable pointed to Sami and said it was him. He pinned it on Sami. Otis then picked up Sami and delivered a World's Strongest Slam, resulting in Gable standing tall over Sami Zayn. This was fucking excellent. This was fucking excellent. This was beautifully done from start to finish. This is how you do a long-winded promo done right. This is what we need. You can have one long promo, one major promo on weekly TV, and then you build everything else around wrestling. This was that one standout promo on Monday Night Raw, and Chad Gable once again playing up to his heel character beautifully. And that pop by Otis there, that was massive. That was huge. And now we're on to the next chapter. The next chapter will be written at Clash at the Castle. I know a lot of people are talking about Gable finally getting a singles championship, Gable finally getting the Intercontinental Championship. I love Chad Gable, but it's not going to happen. The story here is not Gable winning the Intercontinental Championship. It's not. The story here is Otis finally saying enough is enough and Otis beating Chad Gable. The story here is Otis costing Chad Gable the Intercontinental Championship, and then we get ourselves a match between Otis and Chad Gable, potentially at SummerSlam. That's the motto. That is how this is going to lay out. The big story is Otis finally getting that big win over Chad Gable. And it's going to start at Clash at the Castle. The new chapter to the Otis-Chad Gable storyline will begin at Clash at the Castle when Otis helps Sami Zayn beat Chad Gable. Sami will remain the Intercontinental Champion coming out of Clash at the Castle. Who takes it off of Sami? I have a theory, and we're going to talk about it in just a little bit, because the man that's going to take the title off of Sami was in the next match on the show. It was Braun Breaker versus Ricochet. And Braun Breaker, my God, Braun Breaker looked fucking great here. And it was a brilliant idea to place him in there with Ricochet, because Ricochet made him look like a fucking beast. Braun Breaker beats Ricochet with a spear. Very solid match. And Breaker then went to attack Ricochet before Ilya Dragunov stepped in and sent Braun Breaker packing. Now, next week, we got Breaker and Dragunov. Braun Breaker, I'm telling you, Braun Breaker, he's going to be the next Intercontinental Champion. That's your match at SummerSlam. Breaker and Sami. You need a great babyface, right? To go along with how great of a heel Braun Breaker is. There you go. Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker at SummerSlam. Braun Breaker is leaving Cleveland, Ohio with the WWE Intercontinental Championship. This is where shit took a turn, and we had a lot of filler on this show. We had Natalya and Kiana James. This match went way too quick. This match went 3 minutes. You can't even be bothered to give Kiana James a decent showcase. You only give her 3 fucking minutes. How is 3 minutes supposed to help her? Kiana James gets the win over Natalya. Kiana James wins with the 401k. Again, way too quick. Way too quick. Braun Strowman versus Carlito. Another quick one. Braun Strowman wins with the reverse choke slam. The one thing that everyone's talking about here, Liv Morgan came out to save Dominic Mysterio from Braun Strowman, and then JD and Balor then attacked Strowman, resulting in Strowman being beaten down with a chair. So that right there, that's obviously going to result in Braun Strowman going after the world title and Damian Priest. But Liv Morgan was the most interesting thing about this entire fucking segment. No one gives a fuck about Braun Strowman. No one gives a fuck about Carlito. They're both good at what they do. But again, Carlito, he's essentially a jobber, and Braun Strowman is merely a bridge for Damian Priest to get through Money in the Bank in order to get to Gunther. So how much momentum, how much heat does this shit really have when it's as predictable as fuck? Listen, predictable is not bad. I do not want anyone to misconstrue me. Predictable is not bad. But if you're not going to do anything to make it interesting, even though it's predictable, you're just going to coast through this shit and you're not even going to make it interesting, that's a fucking problem. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, they came out to address the crowd. Typical shit. Rah, 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 defending the women's tag team titles. Then we get Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. The match happens, resulting in a disqualification because we had an all-out brawl with Alba Fire and Isla Dawn coming on in. And we got ourselves a triple threat tag team match for the women's tag team championships at Clash at the Castle. Who cares? Who cares? Jey Uso came out. He cut a typical Jey Uso promo, but the one takeaway from this is the fact that he announced he is entering into the Money in the Bank ladder match. That is something that I can get behind. That is definitely something that I can get behind because with Jey in the Money in the Bank ladder match, this means that the true, and I mean the true, bloodline civil war could be upon us. Not that bullshit that we got last year with the fucking tag team match with the Usos versus Roman and Solo at Money in the Bank, or whatever the fuck we got at SummerSlam, that boring fucking match at SummerSlam with Roman and Jey. Now we are on the precipice of the real bloodline civil war. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more when we go to the SmackDown portion of the review. Lyra Valkyria was in the back before she got attacked by Io Sky. And next week, we got a rematch from the Queen of the Ring tournament. It is Lyra and Io. Next week, we also got Sami Zayn versus Otis. It's going to be good. New Day, they took on Authors of Pain. Another quick match. Authors of Pain win in 2 minutes. I'm glad that the Authors of Pain got a win here, but why are we going with 2-minute matches? Why are we not building a competitive tag team division? You got Awesome Truth doing fucking bad comedy segments in the back, and you're not even bothering to build up a solid competitive division. Fucking garbage. Main event. Rey Mysterio and Damian Priest. This was a good match. As per usual, Damian Priest is a very good wrestler. Rey Mysterio is a very good wrestler. We were bound to get a good match. Damian Priest, they ended up getting the win. Or he ended up getting the win. Judgment Day, they came out and they were going after Rey Mysterio and the LWO. Drew McIntyre then came out. Drew McIntyre went right for Damian Priest. Drew McIntyre tore up the announce table. He got a little too comfortable, and Damian Priest ended up hitting the South of Heaven choke slam through the announce table. Obviously, this is all leading towards Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle, where we will see CM Punk fuck over Drew McIntyre. It seems as though the show just completely fucking died after the 9:30 point, and we didn't get anything of substance until we got to the main event. Kind of disappointing. Very lukewarm show, a bit of a mixed bag. Gable, Liv Morgan, and Braun Breaker, those three individuals were the three main highlights of the show. Those three individuals were the three main highlights of Monday Night Raw. Other than that, I mean, very blah show. Very blah show. And if you missed the show, you really didn't miss much outside of Liv Morgan seducing Dominic Mysterio. That's pretty much it. That was Monday Night Raw. Hope you guys are having a good time. Let's talk about AEW Dynamite. Dynamite, on the other hand, this easily was the best show of the week. Dynamite this week, much better than it was 2 weeks ago. I don't know what the fuck happened on that go-home show for Double or Nothing, but that go-home show for Double or Nothing, lackluster as fuck. Lackluster as fuck. So MJF kicked off the show. The crowd was chanting for MJF. He said that he's here to put everyone on notice. I'm sitting at home watching children make bold claims on my show. One guy says he's swerving around. One guy says he's the Rainmaker. One guy is referring to himself as, "Oi, the best wrestler in the world, bruv." He then ragged on Swerve, saying that he's a business mogul, but if he went to school, he skipped public speaking class. He then said that, you may be great, Will Ospreay. You may be great, Willie Boy, but let me ask you this. Did you beat Adam Cole, Kenny Omega, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Samoa Joe, among others? You know who did? MJF did. So watch your tone and check your mouth, because you ain't the best in the world, bruv. I am. I became the most hated only to become the most beloved. And people have the audacity to try and smear my name, trying to revise my legacy. All of a sudden, out came Roosh, and he said, "Just like these stupid people, you never shut up. Listen to me. See, while you've been gone, I had been wrestling and winning. You got a celebration. Well, where is my moment? Where is my celebration? I'm the one that deserves your spot, Pero, and I'm going to take it." MJF then said, "I'm sorry, Roosh, I couldn't hear you. But listen, don't even bother repeating yourself, because we don't give a shit." See, here's the thing, Roosh. With that suit that you're wearing, you ran your bank account dry, just like every woman that you've ever slept with. I love MJF. So MJF says, "Listen, for real, listen, hold on, let me get serious here. I know how good you are. You have proved that when you sold out arena after arena in Mexico. Then you came here and you became a champion in Ring of Honor. You have bludgeoned some of the best. But here's the thing. I am not one of the best. I am the best." So then he spoke in Roosh's universal language. He spoke, "Roosh, chinga tu madre," which in Spanish means, "fuck your mother." When I looked that shit up on Google Translate, I was laughing my fucking ass off. He then did his catchphrase in Spanish, did MJF. He goes, "Me llamo Maxwell Jacob Friedman," and he rolled his fucking R's. I thought that was fucking hilarious. We then get a big brawl. We got a big brawl between MJF and Roosh. And then we had people coming out to separate them and trying to, get order and decorum back in control. Crowd was hot. Crowd was hot for it, and rightfully so. This was an excellent promo, and it puts Roosh in a major spotlight where now he can work with one of the best that AEW has to offer, and his name value and his stock is going to rise just by being in the ring with MJF. And that is something I'm looking forward to. This could very well be an opening round matchup to the Owen Hart Cup tournament. I'm looking forward to this. Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, Jay Lethal, Ray Phoenix, AEW International Championship #1 contenders match. This was very fun. Very fun stuff. Fast-paced action. Everyone was getting their shit in. And this ultimately resulted in a victory for Ray Phoenix. Ray Phoenix wins in a very fun match, and we got ourselves a certified banger next week. It is going to be Will Ospreay versus Ray Phoenix for the AEW International Championship next week. And my, oh my, are we going to get one hell of a fucking match. And I do believe that Will Ospreay said this is his first time wrestling in Iowa. His first time wrestling in Iowa. No, Will Ospreay is going to deliver one hell of a fucking show. That's for sure. So afterwards, Don Callis and Trent Beretta came out. Don Callis and Trent Beretta, they came out and they were going to beat Orange Cassidy down with a chair before Statlander came in. Statlander came in after Orange Cassidy got a chain. Statlander then slapped Orange Cassidy before Willow came out. And Willow and Statlander, they are set for a match. I don't know when, but I'm assuming that's going to be a first-round matchup in the Owen Hart Cup tournament, which I am looking forward to. Chris Jericho, Big Bill, and Brian Keith arrived to the arena. Now, the Learning Tree, it's a shit gimmick. I've said it once, I'll say it again. It's a shit gimmick. Should not be on the show. Completely and utterly irrelevant, and it's not resonating with the audience. However, I have to admit, Chris Jericho going around the arena and giving unsolicited advice. He was talking to the driver. As a man who has been with a valid driver's license for 30 years, it is very important to always come to a full stop before putting the car in park. Thanks, guys. I don't know why. I don't know how. But this was the first time that this Learning Tree gimmick with Chris Jericho actually came off as entertaining. This was the first time that this gimmick actually resonated with the fans. This was actually blown up on social media. People up and down my Twitter timeline were saying, I'm going to start giving unsolicited advice, waving and saying, thanks, guys, whenever I'm at work with my coworkers. I don't know what the fuck happened, but for one night, the gimmick actually resonated. Now, if Chris Jericho is going to do that, I don't mind that. That's actually funny. Other than that, I mean, nothing else really resonates with the Learning Tree gimmick. Also, Brian Keith was very, very fucking funny. He was talking to Angelo Dawkins. He goes, you better make sure your baby respects Chris Jericho. Don't know why, but I found that funny. Christopher Daniels, he came out and he reminded everyone of the TNT title ladder match, and we got ourselves another qualifying match. It was Mark Briscoe and Brian Cage, TNT title ladder match qualifier. And this was a very good match. Mark Briscoe, he was delivering wrecking ball drop kicks, exploder suplexes. By the way, Mark Briscoe just celebrated the birth of yet another Briscoe child. I mean, holy shit, this guy's got fucking 8 or 9 babies. This guy's got fucking 8 or 9 children. It's unbelievable. Congratulations to him and his wife. Brian Cage came back with a pump handle gourd buster, sit out powerbomb for a 2 count, super kick by Cage, Yakuza kick, and a rolling DVD by Briscoe. Froggy Bow connects and Briscoe wins it. Very good match right here. Very good match. And Mark Briscoe, he qualifies for the TNT title ladder match. It looks like we are having ourselves one hell of a ladder match at Forbidden Door. Now, Mark Briscoe's not going to win. But you know that with Mark Briscoe in a ladder match, we're going to see some crazy shit. And listen, I'm here for it. I'm here for the crazy shit. Jack Perry, he then cut a promo after the match. He said that fate has already chosen him. Nothing is going to stop him from becoming the next TNT champion. The Acclaimed came out. Max Caster was going to do a rap on the Young Bucks, but the Young Bucks came up on the screen and they said that, listen, your segment is cut. You are not respecting the employee handbook because you are disparaging the EVPs. Clear the ringside area. At the end of the day, you guys, you're great, but you violated the handbook. So the Acclaimed then looked directly into the camera and called the Bucks pieces of trash before leaving. Now, the segment was kind of fucking worthless, if you ask me. The segment, it didn't really resonate all too well. It came off very, very blah. But, however, on the positive side, if you're looking at the Acclaimed versus the Young Bucks for the tag team titles, I'm not going to fucking complain about that. Mercedes Moné and Stephanie Vacour is confirmed for Forbidden Door. And by the way, it is a title for title matches for the TBS and the New Japan Strong Women's World Championship. And this is something that I am looking forward to. Mercedes Moné and Stephanie Vacour has been confirmed at Forbidden Door. It's going to be a title for title match for the New Japan Strong Women's title and the TBS Championship. If my calculations are correct, I'm looking at Mercedes Moné potentially pulling a 2022 FTR. You saw what happened with FTR in 2022. They had 3 belts. They were AAA Tag Team Champions. They were Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. They were IWGP World Tag Team Champions. If my calculations serve me correct, I do believe that Mercedes Moné is going to become a belt collector in 2024. She's already got the TBS Championship. Then, if we're potentially going to get the New Japan Strong Women's World Championship and whatever other titles that she wants, I think this could be one of the best years of Mercedes Moné's career. Blackpool Combat Club. Blackpool Combat Club. They took on the stars of CMLL, Esfinge, Volador Jr., Magnus, and Ruhido. We had a big brawl to start the match here. Everyone was taking out everyone. Flying Hurricane Ranas and planches. Oh, by the way, Wheeler Yuta's back. Wheeler Yuta is back, and he looks great. He looks great. So this was crazy, all over the place, very fun stuff. And this is the beauty of Forbidden Door season. We're going to get great matches, and we're going to get a lot of cross-brand promotional matches. Really fun stuff. Really fun stuff. Yuta ended up getting the win. Yuta getting the win, that was good for him, and I'm glad that Yuta is back. Yuta is very good at what he does. We got a great promo by Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia, that he said that no one is going to outwork him. He said that he's going to remain full-fledged and focused, and he remains a challenger. He's going to be targeting the AEW International Championship. Listen, if you're going to give me Daniel Garcia and Will Ospreay, I'm not going to complain about that. The Elite, they met with the Patriarchy. Christian said that he was screwed out of the world title. The Bucks said, listen, we'll see what we can do, and maybe we can work something out for everyone here. You scratch my back, we'll scratch yours. Cage said, it's a great thing to have this working relationship. Not really sure what's going to go on there. If anything, this segment kind of felt out of place, because what does Christian have left to vie for? What exactly does he have to grasp onto? He can't be grasping at straws here. He lost at Double or Nothing. You can't really do too much about that. It is what it is. Mariah May and Saraya. Mariah May is very good at what she does. I'm glad to see Saraya back. Saraya is not one of the best in the world, but listen, you put her with the right talent, she's going to give you a good match. You got a good match. By the way, I love Mariah May's drop kicks. Mariah May has a great fucking drop kick. Her drop kicks may be the most intense drop kicks for a women's pro wrestler in the modern era right now. Love those drop kicks. So Saraya delivered the nightcap to Mariah. Mariah ended up kicking out. We had a super kick by Saraya. Saraya then with the submission hold, and Mariah ended up giving up. Tony came in to check on Mariah. We had Harley Cameron and Saraya attacking both women before Mina Shirakawa came out and she made the save. And we got ourselves a match at Forbidden Door. Mina Shirakawa versus Toni Storm, and it is for the custody of Mariah May. No, it's not. I'm kidding. Bryan Danielson was in the back. He was cutting a promo, and he said that if this is his last full-time year, he's going to go out in a blaze of glory, and he wants to be entered into the Owen Hart Cup tournament. That is a great first entry. Bryan in the Owen Hart Cup tournament is definitely something that I can get behind. Main events, Swerve Strickland and Roderick Strong, AEW World Championship. Now, the match didn't make any sense. I don't understand why they did this, because here's the thing. One victory by Roderick Strong over Lio Rush, that does not constitute him as worthy of being a contender for the World Championship. It doesn't. They're not even enforcing the rankings, which is very fucking frustrating if you ask me. That is extremely fucking frustrating. You can't just put someone in a world title match just because. However, I'm not going to sit here and say that this was a bad match. This was a very good match. Both men looked great. Roderick Strong is very underrated. And Swerve, he's killing it as world champion. And if they take the title off him, it would be a huge fucking miss. Swerve should not be losing that championship anytime soon. And if Will Ospreay does beat him, I will shit on it. So do not dare look at me and tell me that I'm an AEW shill. I am going to shit on the match. Not necessarily the match, but the match outcome. I will shit on the outcome if Swerve Strickland loses the world title to Will Ospreay. I will complain. I will. Swerve Strickland right now is doing great work as the world champion, and this match proved that. Strong came in with a backbreaker on the top buckle. We had a catapult into the post by Strong. Coming back from commercial, Swerve with a swerve stomp in midair. Rolling flatliner, float over brainbuster for a 2 count. Alley-oop power slam by Swerve. I love that alley-oop power slam. X-plex on the apron by Strong. Codebreaker by Strong. Rapid fire elbows and an Olympic slam. Tiger driver. Swerve kicked out. Roderick Strong then delivered a sick kick right in the face. 1, 2. Swerve kicked out again. Swerve then with a swerve stomp while Strong was upside down, dangling from the ropes to the floor. Swerve then with the house call, and Swerve gets the win. 1, 2, 3. Very good main event. Swerve continues to showcase why he is a world championship caliber individual. If you're going to tell me otherwise, I'm going to need you to get out. Your opinion is fucking irrelevant. Matter of fact, it's not even an opinion. It's pure retardation. Swerve should not be losing the championship. The best route to go at Forbidden Door is Swerve beating Will Ospreay clean. That is the best route to go. Very good show for Dynamite. Very good show for Dynamite. I hope that they can continue that up going into the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. SmackDown. This was a very solid show. Matter of fact, SmackDown has probably been the most consistent show coming out of the draft. SmackDown has been very, very consistent as of lately, and we have a lot of good material to look forward to on SmackDown. One specifically is the Bloodline. This version of the Bloodline is great. Love this version of the Bloodline. Solo Sikoa came out with the Bloodline to anoint Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga as official members of the Bloodline. Heyman, he did his usual shtick. Heyman then said that he is going to set the record straight until Roman Reigns comes back. Solo sits at the head of the table. Crowd is chanting, "We want Roman, we want Roman." So Solo said that we're going to up the ante tonight. This is a double proclamation. Tama Tonga will be known going forward as the right-hand man. Right-hand man, Tama Tonga. Paul Heyman then said, "You will not mention the Bloodline without mentioning the newest member in the form of the infamous Tonga Loa." Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa then sandwiched Paul Heyman. They were standing side by side, shoulder to shoulder with him. Paul Heyman goes, aren't you forgetting something? Aren't you going to thank them for saving you from Kevin Owens last week? Heyman then thanked them with a very shaky voice. Tama Tonga then said, we could have let Owens kill you, but we saved you by orders of the tribal chief. Heyman then said, allow me to return the favor. You see, I got here very early because I'm a wise man doing wise man things. And I heard that Kevin Owens is looking for a piece of any and all members of the bloodline. Owens came out with the Street Profits and we got a big brawl, and it resulted in the babyfaces standing tall. Now, first off, Paul Heyman is the MVP of these bloodline segments. Paul Heyman is fantastic at what he does. If it wasn't for Paul Heyman, this shit would have gotten old quick. Now, I do need to throw down a criticism here. WWE is on the verge of things getting a little old. How do they fix that? Well, I mentioned Jey Uso. He is in Money in the Bank. So now what do? With Jey Uso in the Money in the Bank ladder match, this should now result in Solo being involved in Money in the Bank. With Jey Uso involved in the Money in the Bank ladder match, this now opens up the door for Solo to be involved, and with those two in the ladder match, Solo gets knocked off the ladder, and when Jey is just about to reach the briefcase, in comes Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, and the bloodline costs Jey Uso the Money in the Bank briefcase, thus resulting in Roman Reigns and or Jimmy Uso coming back, and then we can move on forward with the next chapter of this storyline with potentially a Roman versus Solo match at SummerSlam. Because if you're going to have SummerSlam, I mean, you can't have that shit without Roman. They'd be foolish not to get Roman back in time for SummerSlam. But the next chapter of this new Bloodline storyline should take place at Money in the Bank, with the Bloodline costing Jey Uso the Money in the Bank briefcase. Because if not, then it's going to get old very, very quickly. Moving on here, we had a tag team match with Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair taking on Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. This was actually a negative point to the show. These tag team matches with Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair are becoming way too formulaic. Way too formulaic. You have Bianca being beaten down by whoever the heels are, only for Jade to make the hot tag look good for about 2 minutes, and then ultimately she wins the match with the double team move. I'm sorry, but the formulaic nature of these women's tag team matches, it doesn't come off well. Matter of fact, it honestly makes me not want to watch the segment. It honestly makes me not want to watch the segment. Why are the women's tag team titles still a thing? Why are they still a thing? Now, do Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair complement each other? Yes, they complement each other very well. But if you're going to tell me that the women's tag team titles are worth anything, you are fucking lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself, and you should not be talking wrestling. Scott Cobe, listen, I know they're headed towards a Bianca and Jade match, but why do we need that with the women's tag team championships? Why couldn't we actually get rid of the women's tag team titles because they mean jack shit? Why don't we build Jade Cargill and Bianca up through singles matches? They complement each other well, but the women's tag team division's a waste of time. Whether you want to admit it or not, that's the truth. Johnny Gargano and Grayson Waller, they had a match on SmackDown. This was a very good match, and this is the type of match that we need on SmackDown. Gargano, he was in control early on. He had a sliced bread off of the apron. Then, coming back from commercial, he mounted a comeback with a slingshot spear, Waller with a rolling elbow and a back suplex. Fireman's carry spinebuster, Gargano kicked out at 2. Both men then traded strikes back and forth. Super kick by Gargano. Jumping DDT, not DDT, jumping knee by Grayson Waller, jumping knee. Waller was then caught with a Canadian Destroyer by Gargano. Very nicely done. Tope Suicida on Austin Theory. Gargano was then sent into the post, and Grayson Waller took advantage and delivered a flipping kill switch on Johnny Gargano to get the win 1-2-3. This was very good, and champion Grayson Waller, he didn't lose. That's exactly what we need. Now, if only that they built up DIY in tag team matches rather than singles matches, and if only they weren't headed towards a breakup between Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, because they shouldn't be breaking themselves up. Cody Rhodes. This was the best thing on the show, by far. Cody Rhodes, he was waiting in the parking lot for AJ Styles. Styles showed up. Cody went to the ring, no music. He called out AJ Styles, and AJ Styles came out to the ring. Styles came out to the ring with the OC. Styles said, "You think I care what you want? What you want is irrelevant to me. It's time for you to give me what I want. I want the WWE Championship at Clash at the Castle." Cody then said, 100% yes, you got it. But this isn't just going to be any regular match, because I'm going to make you say what you should have said last week, and that is, I quit. And Nick Aldis confirmed the match. We got a big pull-apart brawl before the segment was over. Now, that is substance. That's all I wanted. This is what I've been talking about since the start of Cody's title reign. All I ask is for substance. And the last 2 weeks, we got substance. Now, we got ourselves a serious story, a serious, legit story between two serious, legit guys with genuine heat between them, genuine, real heat between them, that is going to result in a great match at Clash at the Castle. That is what I was looking for. Whatever the fuck we got in their first build was bullshit. Whatever the fuck we got in their first build, complete fucking bullshit. Now we got ourselves some substance. It took them 2 months to finally give Cody some substance. But listen, better late than never. This one segment was better than anything that Cody Rhodes did after he won the title from Roman. Ever since he won the title from Roman, they have not been doing Cody Rhodes justice. They've just been coasting through their week-to-week TV with Cody Rhodes. The Logan Paul build fucking sucked. The match was great, but the build towards the Logan Paul match fucking sucked. That was bullshit. Now, I'm happy that they're not going forth with another match between Cody and Logan Paul, and instead, we're actually getting some substance between himself and AJ Styles. That is something I can get behind. That's all I ask. Giving us substance is not that difficult. Now, the only negative to this is the fact that AJ Styles is essentially a glorified fucking jobber, and he's done nothing to earn a championship match. That is the only negative side to this. And I wish they would have given us a real reason to care about AJ. Because outside of the retirement speech, AJ has essentially been a fucking bum for the last couple years. He's been doing nothing but losing. LA Knight and Carmelo Hayes. Kind of a disappointing match. Didn't really go all that long, and the crowd wasn't as hyped up for it. LA Knight wins, and then he called out Logan Paul. That was pretty much it. Really nothing of substance. This is a problem with WWE. You have these two individuals, and you can't even give them more than 7 or 8 minutes. This should have gone 12 minutes at least. This should have gone 12 minutes at least. Bayley came out to address the crowd. And Bayley, she came out to talk about fighting Piper Niven. Piper Niven, and she is getting a championship match at Clash at the Castle only because she's Scottish. That's it. She's getting a championship match at Clash at the Castle because she is Scottish. Lame. Match should be fine. The match should be fine, but I mean, the reason behind it's fucking lame. Niven and Green came out. Chelsea Green is fucking annoying, and not the good kind of annoying. I know that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to try and pull excuses out of their ass. Oh, she's a heel. Who gives a fuck if she's not a good heel? She has go-away heat. Go-away heat does not make you good at what you do. Go-away heat makes you a failure. Chelsea Green's a failure. Niven took the mic, and she was talking about her journey, how she embarrassed Bayley enough last week. I'm glad that you have that respect for me, but you have no idea about my journey. I've been putting Scottish wrestling on the map, winning titles in the UK, Europe, and Japan. If you had any idea of who I am, then you wouldn't be standing so close to me right now. I hope that the respect will still be there when you're looking up at the lights and see me holding your title. Now, I like what Piper said here, but the way that she said it, I don't know what the fuck happened, but where's the emphasis? There was no emphasis. There was no oomph on the statements that Piper was laying out. How are you going to cut a promo and talk about the journey that you've been on, and you're not going to put some extra emphasis on that shit? You're not going to put any energy behind it. It's like she was reading off a fucking script. I've seen her cut some really good promos in the past before. But I really don't understand. I don't understand why you give Piper Niven a microphone and you don't have her put any emphasis on it. I'm not sure if it's on WWE or if it's on Piper herself. No emphasis whatsoever. Main event. Kevin Owens and the Street Profits versus the Bloodline. This was a good, not great, but a good six-man tag, but ultimately did not result in anything other than a DQ finish. It resulted in a DQ finish. I didn't mind that it resulted in a DQ finish. That much I will say. I do not mind that it resulted in a DQ finish. However, like I stated at the beginning of the SmackDown portion of the review, WWE needs to be very, very, very careful, and they need to make sure that they play their cards right. They play their cards right, and they put forth the next chapter. They put the next chapter forth at Money in the Bank with Jey Uso and Solo Sikoa both being involved in the Money in the Bank ladder match, thus resulting in the Bloodline costing Jey Uso the Money in the Bank contract. That is how it needs to result. That's how it needs to end. And if it doesn't, and we do not get the next chapter starting up between the Bloodline storyline and Jey Uso with Roman coming back, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a problem because the more that you stall, the less and less people are going to care about the Bloodline. That's just how it goes. That was SmackDown. For the most part, a very, very solid show. Rampage was not that solid. Rampage was not solid at all. Rampage was actually extremely, extremely disappointing. I don't know what the fuck happened here. Rampage completely fucking fell off the rails before it even started. First of all, this is the second week in a row that you're giving us 5 matches. You're giving us 5 matches on Rampage. Well, what the fuck are we doing here? It's a 1-hour show. You can't give 5 matches away on a 1-hour show. That just doesn't work. Rampage should have 3 quality matches. 3 quality matches from 10 to 11. Rampage right now is becoming essentially an enhancement show when you don't even have the records up. Penta took on the Butcher. I don't know what the fuck happened, but the Butcher did not look good. I don't know what happened, but Butcher looked out of it since the start. The Butcher looked out of it since the start of the match. He was lumbering. He was very, very slow. I don't know if he was hurt. I don't know if he was high on something, but Butcher did not look good. He looked like 3 steps behind Penta. Penta cannot be put in those scenarios because if you got one guy who is giving you his all and then you got another guy who's just phoning it in and he's not even giving you 100% of what he's doing, that's a fucking problem. Penta wins with the fear factor. That was pretty much it. Not a good match. Not a good match. The Acclaimed, they took on a couple jobbers. Again, where are the rankings? These enhancement matches are essentially meaningless if you're not going to play up to the rankings. If you're not going to push forth the rankings and make the rankings mean something, then what the fuck are you doing here? What are we doing? I don't get it. Private Party, Gates of Agony, another one. We got a decent little match here. Private Party's great. The Gates of Agony are great. But what is this resulting in? What is this going to result in? Neither one of these teams are going to be challenging for the tag team titles, at least not to my knowledge. So why the fuck are we having this match if we're not enforcing the rankings? Again, that's a problem. Bang Bang Gang took on 3 bums, and Juice Robinson pretty much did all the work. Another meaningless match. The only match that was worth going out of your way to watch on Rampage was the main event. Mina Shirakawa and Serena Deeb. Legit, the only match worth going out of your way to watch. This was actually a very good match, and Mina Shirakawa is great at what she does. Serena Deeb is also great. Very, very technical material. We had Serena Deeb just dissecting the leg of Mina Shirakawa. Mina came back with some spinning back fists in a figure 4. We had a powerbomb by Deeb for a 2 count. Stretch muffler. Deeb then bashed Mina's knee into the mat, but Serena Deeb was caught on the receiving end of an elevated Fire Thunder bomb, and Mina Shirakawa gets the win. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Mina gets the win. Out comes Tony, and Mariah May, she made Tony and Mina Shirakawa shake hands going into their Forbidden Door match. Outside of the main event, a meaningless fucking show. And again, this is the inconsistencies that I talk about. The inconsistency between Raw and SmackDown, and then the inconsistency between Dynamite and Rampage. And I'd like to hope we will get something of substance. We will get something better with Collision tonight. Although I'll probably be watching Collision later because I have to go to Toto Day. I'm going to Toto Day Street Fair, and we're going to have ISPW wrestling in the street. I'm going to enjoy that for sure. Got a lot of good matches. We got Anthony. I believe he is taking on, who is he taking on? I think he's taking on Eric Corvus. We got Joe Clean. He's taking on Vargas for the Tri-State Championship. We also got El Magnifico versus Crowbar, and then the main event is a 3-way dance. It is going to be Rick Recon, GKM, and Ray Kalitri fighting for the ISPW World Heavyweight Championship. That is something that I can get behind. That wraps up this edition of the Lightning Flash Update. I would like to thank each and every single one of you who tuned into the stream. Do not forget, like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all of those links in the description. Be ready for Tuesday. Tuesday, we got ourselves the rewind for NXT Battleground. And then on Thursday of this week, episode number 2 of the Savage Storm Wrestling Super Show. Me and Savage are back into it. It is going to be one hell of a show, and We're looking to be the #1 show on Thursday nights every single Thursday, so you better strap in, because if you are not with the Savage Storm, then you are not living. Till next time, people, I am the one and only DJ Storms. This has been the Lightning Flash Update, but before we get out of here, you already know what I'm going to ask you, a very, very important question, and that is, who runs the IWC? I think you all know the answer to that question. Who but DJ motherfucking Storms? And don't you ever, ever forget it.
Retribution! Oh yeah, we want retribution! Oh yeah, we want retribution! Oh yeah, we want retribution! Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard